I don't think you lot are taking this seriously. Talking about the scraps, I remember, is it Dev off Coronation Street? Yeah, him and Roy Carroll going at it. He was naked around the back of the saunas with a kit man, and he was having a smoke. I was in a body cast from here all the way down. My hips were locked, so I was completely straight up for 3 months. Bam! They hit him, and Doyley's mouth was like all over the place. Everything was going on, and Doyle was completely concussed. I just remember Mickey Adams calling the youth team in as forensics, and they're on their hands and knees on the training pitch in lines, like in exact lines, and they had to stay out there until they found all his teeth. Loads of money. In fact, Gary Neville picked the whole tab up the first year I was there. I remember hearing it was 27 grand. She specifically asked me, who's that Cristiano? Blah, blah, blah. And I just said, he's one of the Resi players.
Luke Steele, how are we doing?
Good, really
Terrible timing that, by the way, when it just takes a mouthful of coffee. Morning.
There seems to be something new every week that he fucks up on, isn't it? It's like a little small...
Just a little bit.
I'm beginning to think you do it on purpose.
Yeah,
No.
definitely.
You're right,
I'll tell you
Luke.
what, the hospitality at Chateau Le Steele has been second to none.
Thanks very much.
Continental breakfast.
He does it properly. I did tell you this, didn't I?
Yeah. To be fair, we've turned a full English down and all, didn't we? Gone for a bit of the old foreign muck.
Well, lads, you've obviously been going a few years now, and I've watched most of them. So, like I said, when you turned up, it was like having famous faces show up. It's great to have you at the house. I've got to say that obviously, you've asked me to come on a few times, but I've got a little confession to make, just so I want to get off my chest, because I said I wouldn't do any podcasts. Obviously, you're the main one, blah, blah, blah. But one of the reasons I am doing it is because last week I actually went on another podcast, a different one.
Pack up.
And I want to say I didn't enjoy it. I didn't even look him in the face.
I can't believe you did.
It meant absolutely nothing.
Pack up, get a couple of them quassons, sit back, we're fucking off.
Yeah, I feel really bad about it.
I hope she was worth it.
No, I won't even mention the name.
I feel as though I've been cheated on.
I've been on him since we started. I think I sent a text out 5 people when we first ever started this podcast. Said, do you fancy it? And you went, no, but I won't go on anymore. Yours will be the first one that I come on.
Yeah,
It's like a knife to the
promise, even on a promise.
I was on a promise.
I didn't enjoy it at all. So,
But anybody who does listen to that other podcast, I'm sure it was good. I'm sure it was decent.
So, have you played together?
No. Oh, no, we did. International youth teams.
yeah, a few England's trips we played together, but not in club football. Yeah.
So what's
Chris
the
was
connection? How come you know each other so well? And
Well, I was at Barnsley when Chris was at Doncaster. So I just looked him
in
up.
the wine bar scene.
Yeah, and we became good mates from then. And then he introduced me to John Parkin, the only guy I've seen eat a complete Nando's chicken, the full chicken, which was really impressive.
and believe it or not, same as that podcast, I don't enjoy it. I don't like Nando's. You know what I mean? But I'm in, so I've got to finish it off. You know what I mean?
Sorry, John Parkin and Darren Moore, the only two to complete a full chicken.
Two big old units there, by the way. And I reckon Muro could have gone again.
Yeah,
100%.
But his was for breakfast, so that was really weird.
So you started at Peterborough.
Yeah, started here in Peterborough. Started at the academy, had a year of Sunday League football, and then was straight into the academy from the age of like 9 to
Were you
17.
a Peterborough fan and local lad? Did you go to the games?
Yeah, I mean, I went to all the games. I was ball boy, behind the goals, did all the little jobs, did all of that really. Went through all the academy. I mean, to be honest, we had one of the best academies. I still say it now because I've been at so many clubs, but we had one of the best ran academies in the country at that time. I'd say it was in the top 10, even though we were League 1, League 2. It was phenomenal, and they churned out players year after year.
Who was in that then?
Well, in the few years that I was at Posh, we had like Matthew Everington, Simon Davis, Sean St Ledger, myself, Jamie Day, loads of players. That was just in 3 or 4 years, but every year we'd like sell a player.
Was that by luck, or did Peterborough put a real emphasis on it?
No, there was an emphasis on it all. It was so well thought out, organised, and like I said, I've been at some bigger clubs who have been nowhere near that. So that was a credit to the academy, and obviously Barry Fry used to sell at the right time and things like that, and that's how it worked. But it was incredible how many players they actually got through in about 5 to 10 years.
Thing is, now they've kicked on again in terms of the recruiting from lower leagues.
Yeah, it's a
Making
little
an
bit
absolute
different.
fortune on transfer fees, aren't they?
Yeah, a bit
Is he
different.
still involved, Fry?
Yeah, Barry tried to sign me a few weeks ago.
Did he?
Twice.
I'm doing the podcast in a couple of weeks. I'll get back to you after that, Barry.
Barry tried to sign me in August, and it just wasn't right. I wanted to go and play, and I weren't sure if I was going to play. But with the financial rules at the moment, they couldn't really give me any money at all. And then they signed somebody. So it's not quite worked out. But I was just saying before this, not my dream, but my kind of heart and my soul at the moment is saying that I want to play for Peterborough. So I want to make that happen. But obviously timing is what it's all about. So if I can somehow do that, then that'd be great. But if not, then it might have to be it.
Little player goalkeeper coaching role, or
No, he mentioned that.
Yeah?
Yeah, he mentioned that as like doing the youth team or doing one of the younger ages, but it's just not for me, John.
Coaching?
Coaching's not for me.
Not even goalkeeper coaching.
No.
It's different. It's totally different to actual coaching, really, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? Definitely not goalkeeper coaching. I enjoy doing the training, but coaching goalkeepers is just something I've never ever wanted to do. And I've dabbled, like done little bits and bobs and helped out, and but just I think I'm at a stage where I've had so much of it from the age of 8 and 9. Every day, like it's like live and breathe it. I've just got to a stage where I still like football, I do enjoy it, but goalkeeping, I think I've just, I've exhausted myself out for a bit. Yeah. Whether that's the end or not.
You're going to get yourself a contract at this rate.
Steal it, it's Barry. Fuck that contract off, you fucking no chance.
I know. I haven't put the gloves on for 3 months now, since the last day at Millwall. So, I'm trying to become a striker / midfielder. But no, Peterborough had one of the best academies ever, and I learned everything there.
No, we're not flipping over that. You have actually signed for a Sunday League team, haven't you? Playing up front.
Yeah, I have actually.
Playing up front?
Yeah,
up front?
I've played the last 6 games. So my electrician was round, and he just caught me in a good mood. Asked me. I can't tell it any more honest than that. Caught me in a good mood and said, "Look, do you fancy playing for us on Sunday League side?" And he was doing a great job, to be fair. Yeah.
They've had these spotlights. Incredible.
He'd done some really good work, Jack, and I said yes. Next thing I know, I'm signing online with the manager. The manager was really good, giving me a lot of praise and built me up on the phone. And I obviously mentioned that I weren't going to play in goal.
I'm just about to say, does the electrician know that you're not wanting to play in goal?
Yeah, I told him that, and they give me the number 9 shirt, which is so big for me. So
take this in the nicest possible way, but they must have been desperate to send the electrician round to just ask if you fancy a game on Sunday. Only if I can play up front.
Well, I don't know. I think they expected me to be half decent, but I said yes, and I'm absolutely addicted, lads. I'm absolutely addicted.
Playing up front?
Yeah, I'm playing up front, just behind the striker. And the first game I played,
roll.
David Silva.
I don't think you lot are taking this seriously. First game I played, we won 4-1, and I didn't score. And that was me. I was addicted. I was stiff as a board for 3-4 days. Couldn't believe how hard it was, facing the wrong way. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. I can't believe I've screamed. I'm so sorry for screaming at all those strikers and people. It's so difficult. Hardest position on the pitch, playing up front. You're always facing the... And then the second game, I got a goal. We won 4-1 again, and I've scored ever since then. I've got 5 on Sunday. I've got 9 and 6. Yeah, top goal scorer in the league, and we've just gone top.
This could be a way to
Barry's back on.
I've been on YouTube. I'm doing drills in the garden. Yeah.
Celebrations?
No, I don't really celebrate. I'm so knackered by the time I've scored. Honestly, I'm just like finger up and run back.
Another one on the tally.
Yeah, but since then I've actually been, asked to play a little bit higher. So it's kind of weird because
The second coming.
yeah, I've been asked to play like, a few leagues higher. So I don't know what I'm going to do at the moment. So
Have they put the 7 days in for you?
yeah, because you can sign like pretty quickly, can't you? So
So would you describe yourself as? Who do you model yourself as?
probably Lewandowski.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Good with your feet, but also a threat in the box.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm great with my feet, to be honest, Chris. Well, I've scored 6 headers out of 9 goals, so yeah.
So I'm saying you're more like Peter Crouch then.
Yeah, well, kind of. But it's difficult, But I'm giving everything. I'm literally coming off that pitch. I mean, the thing is, the lads who I play with, I mean, they didn't tell me they weren't a great Sunday League side. I thought everybody won 10-0, but they probably, I'm not screaming and shouting. I'm not like getting into people, but I'm giving 100%. And now I'm looking at the league table, I'm fully addicted. So I'm like, I want to know who's top goal scorer. I want to know who's top of the league. And we've just gone top on goal difference. But fully addicted. And this is what I mean about football. I'm not addicted to goalkeeping at the moment at all, but I'm feeling the love for football. And at the moment, I'm getting it through playing Sunday League. Power League on a Tuesday.
You were a championship goalkeeper 6 months ago. And now you've got how many goals?
9.
Have you mentioned this to Barry? Right.
No, I think they're set for strikers and they only sign younger players. So I think they're looking for a resale.
There's no money in him.
Yeah, I don't think the value's there. But I'm telling you, this could be a strong 4 years of playing up front.
I wonder if we could get a video afterwards in the garden, just get a
With the number 9 shirt on.
virtual trial.
I've got the shirt in here, actually. I forgot to give it back.
Subs? Do you have to pay your subs?
Yeah, £5, which is hard to take sometimes. But
What do you get out of that? Is there a trip at the end of the season?
no, you just
There's
get...
running costs, isn't there?
Yeah. running
Referees
costs.
in that.
Referees, you've got your fines. I'm sure people get booked Sunday League
Bit of a
regular.
spread full time.
No, none of that. To be fair, when there's dog shit on the floor, the manager comes on and picks it up, so I'm presuming that's his fee.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah, it's class. Honestly, grassroots football. You guys, I was actually thinking this on the way, you guys should think about playing. Maybe film it. You guys.
I couldn't, mate. Physically made my knee.
Oh, right.
I genuinely wouldn't be able to. I can't go for a... Not that I would, but I can't go for a run now. My knee would just be hanging off.
Do they need another striker?
Well, we're always looking for players.
I think we'd play well.
Get your 5.
You play behind me.
Yeah. Be a threat.
So can you appreciate now what a tough role it is up front?
Yeah, massively. Like I said, it's blown my mind how hard it is. Physically, it's difficult, but just facing the wrong way.
And were you one of them getting the old, fucking get old?
Yeah, just shoot. Just get hold of it. There's 4 of them. You're up against 4 players. It's mental.
There's 4 of them.
There's 4 of them, and I'm on my own. It's crazy. Give Ronaldo more money. That's what I'm saying. After seeing this, give all the players, strikers especially, more money because it's so much harder than it looks.
What's your tackling like? Are you a defensive?
Don't tackle often. No.
So you're a bit of a maverick.
I'm all about aerial play. Honestly, my heading's a joke. To be honest, it's an absolute joke. It's one of the best I've ever seen
At that level.
Well, any level. Any level.
Have you seen any tackles where you think, oh no, I think this might be my last game. I'm not getting one of them.
Well, I try and avoid it, but you see some mad... I mean, there's been 4 or 5 half fights so far in the 6 games. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's no cameras. There's no one else watching. Poor lad. He's usually called Dave, referee. I think they're all called Dave. All the referees are called Dave in that league. But, squaring up, the language, it's mental. They're half cut from the night before. Some of them obviously turning up. But that's fine. I love all that. Going to see how the season goes.
The language, which is terrible. The Sunday League language is terrible.
What did you give a bollocking for?
Just one of our defenders. The keeper shouted for it, and he didn't see it through to the keeper. And I think we're losing 2-1. And I just lost my shit, just lost my head, and then that was it. Out my system. But the things that go on is brilliant. It's comedy gold. It's class. I don't know whether I'm going to take it higher. I'm not sure yet. I need a few people to watch me and tell me the truth, how far I can get. But yeah,
Your dad not come on?
he came to the first game. He's not been since.
Any feedback?
What are you doing? He said, like, what? Like, he couldn't believe it, mate. He couldn't believe it. I knew he'd talk me out of it, so I told him on the morning. I said, "Do you fancy going to a game?" He's like, "Yeah, always up for a game." I said, "Oh, I'm playing in it." Told him this on the way, and then he turned up. And, you know, my dad's been lucky enough to watch me all over Europe, played in some great stadiums, and, you know, this was next to a park. Like I said, a few months after, you know, being involved in a championship game. But yeah, I think he hated every minute of it, because the centre half for us cut his head open and was pouring with blood, and he just looked at me as if to say, "This could be you, but this is where I am in my life. No one's going to convince me not to play." Yeah, I also play Power League on a Tuesday at the moment, just for the record. That's why I do my training, you know, like
improve your footwork.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you can never too old to learn, are you?
No, exactly.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
So you're obviously still loving it.
I'm loving that, yeah. I'm loving that. I'm loving that side of it, yeah.
So if Barry wants to sign you, like you'll say you play on a Saturday for Peterborough, but you're playing Sunday up front for your local team.
Well, yeah. If I sign anywhere, I'm gonna have to say that I don't do Sundays now. So, you know, that's just a rule that's going to happen, because I can't let him down now, especially now we're top of the league after 6 games.
See it through now, don't you?
Yeah, need to see it through.
Talking of Peterborough and that selling on kind of business model, did you see yourself in that role, that you were there to be sold on?
Not really. No, I didn't even think about it. Obviously, I was just loving, you know, going through the stages, making each year, getting better and better, and then obviously got a scholarship, and that one, my first year, was just a complete whirlwind. You know, I was playing under 19 football, you know, and that was all right for me. Playing the odd reserve game, but weren't always playing in the reserves, and you don't really think about being sold. In my head, I always thought I'll be sold at 23, 24. I'll go to Man U. That was what I always used to.
That was the plan.
That was the plan. I used to tell my friend Luke. He'd go to Newcastle, I'd go to Man U, and then it happened really quickly after a Youth Cup game.
So you played 2 games for Peterborough?
Yeah, but at the end of the season, which is, you know, that was really young, because I weren't even physically. I'm still not physically developed at 36, but like, you know, I wasn't big. I wasn't like, you know, big for my age or anything like that. But that was basically to get the price up. So by that time, I'd already been to Charlton, Man U, Tottenham and Arsenal. I nearly went to Arsenal. Like they tried to like sell me to the highest bidder, basically.
Yeah.
But it was weird being in that position, because then I went on loan to Man U for a year, which is really strange. But I got to United that on loan, and they just realised that Barry, who's very, very clever, Barry Fry was, you know, he gets some stick sometimes, but he knows the game. And what he'd done, he'd said to me, "Look, congratulations, you're going to get a pro contract." So on my 17th birthday, I went and signed at London Road. You know, such a proud day for me. So when I went to Man U the week after, I think it was, they were like, "Oh, you signed pro?" And we're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Right, now we need to buy you." So rather than compensation, but Barry was the king of that. Still is.
He's a wheeler and dealer, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sneaky.
But obviously he didn't make a big thing of it before. Got me to sign a 4-year deal on £100 a week, rising to £150 at 17. And I was like, brilliant, great. It's my dream come true, be a professional footballer at my local club. But then Man U were like, okay, now we need to have
Could you have been better though if that move to United hadn't come off? Like,
no, you don't really think like that. I weren't really.
But I mean, sitting back now, if Man United hadn't bought you and Barry Fry had given you that contract, knowing that the reason that he's done it is so that he can get some money off Man United, and then they would have taken a chance on a free, but hadn't gone for buying.
It would have been a free compensation.
Yeah, but even then though, say £200,000 compensation, or what was the transfer fee?
Well, it was $500,000 to begin with, yeah.
So they might have said, "We're willing to pay £150,000 compensation, but we're not willing to pay. It's too much, £500,000."
Yeah, but I weren't really thinking about that. But when you ask me now, yeah, I probably would have been, because I didn't realise that my mum and dad didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah,
and it could have stopped it, but he obviously took a chance. It was a gamble. That's what Barry does. He's gambled. So then he sent me to Manchester for the month and said, "Go on, enjoy it. Go and do well." And luckily it went well, and I signed. But obviously then at the end of the season, my debut actually was that season. It was crazy because I was getting ready to play a 19s game, And this is the genius of Barry Fry. I was getting to play an under-19s game. I was in my dig, 16 lads living together. And there was a knock on the dig's door. And it was the first team bus. And they were like, and someone got off, one of the players got off and said, Steele, are you with us today? You with the first team away at Reading? I was like, what are you on about? And I was 17. He was like, yeah, no one tell. And I got on the bus. Barry was like, no one tell you. You're with the first. You playing in the first team today? I was like, he was in the back of the paper. I said, well, no one told me. And that was my debut. And I got on the bus. We went to Reading. And he said, don't worry, I've told your mum and dad. They're already come to the game, your granddad. So I still, to this day, I don't know if that was him...
Psychological.
Psychologically.
So you were shitting your pants all
Yeah,
night.
exactly. But I was shitting myself more than ever. But yeah, I went there, played really well. It was full stadium. Reading needed to get promoted, win to get promoted. 17 years of age, thinking I was playing in the under-19s, played in the first team. We drew 2-2, I think it was. It one of the best days of my life. And then he played me again the next week, beat Bury. And that's why he could sell me for, $500,000 rising to, I don't know, 2 million. But all these little things he was very, very clever at.
And was he Barry Fry?
He was brilliant. His lad played in my team as well, Adam, who became professional but didn't quite go on. But Barry was brilliant. Tactically, useless. I think back now, and I never heard him really come up with anything tactically that made sense. But you didn't need to. He was very much old school, and he'd walk around the training ground with his top off if it was sunny, smoking cigars. But he'd have that little comment, that little word in your ear that'd make you feel great. A bit like how I hear the stories of like Clough and managers like that, very much like Martin O'Neill. But he was brilliant. And then obviously he went on to be technical director, and he's still there now.
What was his chassis like with his hairy, I'm guessing? Derby over his shorts.
Yeah, but he was never as fat as I thought, and he was like going grey, but always like he's like a sexy beast. You've seen that film Sexy Beast? Like really tanned.
That is one thing that I would not never associate Barry Fry with, being a sexy beast.
Even in January, he had like a golden glow.
All year round tan.
One of them sunbeds that you used to wheel into your bedroom and it used to be over your bed.
Yeah. He's a tanner, isn't he?
He definitely had an illegal sunbed at home. But he loves it. He lives and breathes
Medallion?
it. Yeah, some sort of chain.
Crucifix.
Yeah, I don't know. We're getting into details now, but yeah. He was brilliant. He like I said, in Peterborough, it's weird because outside of Peterborough in the football game, he gets all the plaudits and stuff, and he does deserve it. But here, he's split opinions because he, apparently he sells the players and you don't know what he does, but that's his job. He invented that job. He was the first one, really, I think, to be a sporting director. You know how every big club now, they have the guy who does the players, but he was that first guy who went from manager to doing that.
You never had a contract negotiations with Barry Fry then? It was just
Nah, I mean, the first pro contract I signed, I didn't have anything to go off, and it was just like, here's your contract, you're going to sign it. I had an agent, but I didn't really care about the money and things like that. Even when he sold me, I didn't really have a say in how much I was going to earn, but it's hard to argue with Barry because he'll agree with you, and then the fee will be the same in the contract. So,
I seen that video with him. Somebody must have gone in with his agent. Have you seen it? Yeah. He wants 10.50, 11.50, 12.50 or something like that, over his 3-year contract. No. 5.50, 6.50, 7.50.
We're way off, Barry.
Yeah, he says something like, we're way off. He says that to his agent. No, we're way off. And it ends up coming out 7.50, 8.50. Done. And just fucking chucks his arm across the table.
Yeah,
it's like Cloughy, he hated agents.
Yeah,
I hate him. I hate my agent. I've been with him since I was 15.
No wonder you've only got a route to Sunday League.
Yeah. I've been with the same agent now, and he won't watch this, so I don't really care.
He's not an electrician.
He's not bothered. Yeah, he won't watch this, but I don't like him. He's not even the best. I've got too much heart. I can't get rid of him. I never will. I think he's actually trying to get rid of me because I told him about the Sunday League thing. I think my agent's trying to get rid of me at the moment, secretly. When you come to the end, you've got a part. You can't have an agent forever. But I think at the moment he's kind of merging me out. but I'm gonna just because I'm stubborn, I'm gonna keep him as my agent for as long as possible. Even when I'm not playing for someone, I'm gonna keep asking for just little bits and bobs. So I want him to hate me, and then until he sacks me, I'm never gonna sack him.
What give it away with it? Was it that conversation? I've not got anything at the minute, Luke, but I've got an electrician coming round. He's going to have a chat with you. Might have an opening.
Yeah. I knew I'd lost him when he didn't talk me out of playing Sunday League, so, who cares?
Are you still asking for boots off him and that?
No, but I will. I will do, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll fleece him.
They need to be coloured as well if you're playing striker.
Yeah, he doesn't get me, he doesn't get me boots. That's how bad he is. He doesn't even get me boots. Terrible agent.
Shit agent.
He outgrew me.
So how was it that 18-year-old getting at Old Trafford on a cliff? Was it a cliff then, or?
No, I'm not that old. Flipping heck.
What is it now?
Carrington.
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, at 17. Well, the loan move was carnage because I think they were kind of having a look at me because they knew that Barry wanted top dollar for just a kid who'd done nothing. So I started playing in the youth team, started training with them. And then when I knew what they were doing early on, they kind of said, yeah, he's all right, 17s. Then they put me in the 19s. And I thought, I can play in 19s football. And then reserves. I played a reserve game against Oldham.
At Bury, at Gig Lane?
Yeah, one of them. And then all of a sudden I was training with the first team. Like this is while I was on loan. So it wasn't like until a few years later, I was 17 and I was training with all the first team, the goalie coach, Tony Coton at the time. It was madness, absolute madness. I was like being in a different body, a different mind, because I was a Man U fan. So,
and who's number one then? Barthez?
Barthez was number one, yeah. There was Barthez, Roy Carroll.
World Cup winner.
People like that, yeah.
Yeah, like you said.
He didn't like me though, Barthez, I'm pretty sure. Why? Yeah. Well, I think I was serving to him on the first few days I was there, shitting myself. Like, I'm trying to kick the ball straight and he didn't speak English. I could just tell he didn't like me. Plus I caught him smoking on my loan. I remember catching him smoking.
Did you grass him off?
He was naked around the back of the saunas with a kit man and he was having a smoke. That's how weird it was.
Naked?
Outside? He was half naked. And he was smoking, because everyone knew Barthez smoked, like it's not like a secret. But then, at the time they didn't, or especially fans and that. But obviously I was a fan, I was a massive fan of Barthez, and I was like week 2 or week 3 of this loan move. I remember just trying to find my kit, because I didn't have kit one day, went into the kit room and near the saunas and stuff, and he was having a fag. I was like, wow, I've got to start smoking.
You're not giving him a bollocking? Come on, mate.
They were just a weird...
Come on. You're my keeper. Come on. You know what I mean? It's not good enough, Fabien.
They were just the weird things that happened for a solid month, just to name a few. And then I thought I did all right. I thought I played all right. That was November time or something like that. I can't remember. But I didn't sign until the summer. So, they offered the money that Barry wanted. But in the meantime, they wanted to sell me to Charlton. I went to Charlton for a week. Trained with them. That was madness because, again, they actually wanted to have a proper look at you. And, when you go on trial, it's like, you think you're just going to train with the team, they'll make a decision. But at Charlton, one day I got called out with Kerbishley and Mervyn Day. He's the goalie coach. And he was obviously the first team manager and the goalie coach. And they had a solid hour just shooting at me. So the manager of a Premier League club and the goalie coach, that's a proper look. And again, I'm 17, coming from a youth team. I'm there, and they had a proper hour just shooting. Like
were they doing the shooting?
They were doing the shooting.
I bet you were.
So there was no one else. I was absolutely knackered, but they were Kerbishley. I never knew he could even play or anything. He was shooting at me, one-on-ones.
So he was sliding Mervyn Day through on goal.
Yeah, like a drill. No one watching. Everyone had gone home.
In my mind as well, he's fully suited in his slip-ons.
Like I don't play with me, but I've seen my little one on like FIFA, and they have like practice, don't they? Where you can just practice and go and chill. That's what I've got in my head.
That's what it's like.
Alan just getting the ball, somebody laying it into him, and just jinking through.
Yeah.
And if they scored, would they like celebrate? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and then this is what I mean. They knew that they'd have to pay a lot of money, so they wanted to have a proper look. I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Surely after you have rest in between, or it weren't just constant for an hour.
Oh,
I know your keepers you like doing 3 or 4 and then somebody else have a go, don't you?
Well, they didn't think about the rest. I didn't do well, to be honest. I think that's why they didn't want to sign me.
We're not paying that for him.
Yeah,
he's good though, Mervyn Day. He's got a good right peg on him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's lethal from a dead ball situation, Mervyn.
That was another weird one.
Were you a bit starstruck in that United dressing room?
Yeah, massively.
The Hollywood Boulevard of football.
It is pretty much like
at that time.
winning the lottery, isn't it? Yeah. Like, you support Man U, who were the biggest team in the world then, and you're there on trial.
Yeah.
And they're thinking about signing you.
Yeah, I mean, you hear people say, "I'll just relax, pretend they're like, normal people and just play your game," but it's not like that. You're constantly aware of who's around you. All these people that I've had posters of, intimidating players like Varane, someone like that. He was really, I don't know, he felt like he was such a superstar. Someone like that. And I didn't know how to, I didn't approach them ever. I didn't ask them questions until they asked me stuff. But the weirdest thing actually was playing in the small-sided games and having to communicate, because I didn't know whether to call Giggsy, Ryan,
Mr. Giggs,
legend. Scholesy I was shouting Paul. I was like, Paul. I didn't want to say Scholesy. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a clue.
Did you not
what
see
to
what
say.
everybody else were calling him first, and then maybe take it from there?
I don't know. It was just so surreal that I couldn't get to grips with it, and I didn't even know if I'd done well. Balls were just hitting me. And it was actually them. I found out it was a lot of the main players, like the English main players, who said, he's top dollar, sign him. And Giggsy, and that told me that a couple of years after, they said, that month you were on fire. Scholes, Butt, Gary Neville, and Giggsy. I remember on a Christmas do, they told me, and they were like, that month you were obviously flying and things like that. So obviously I must have done all right.
It's a good job Barry didn't find out. He'd have wanted fucking 750 up front, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
As well, you'd have been all right.
Cash.
You haven't got a problem with just nicknaming. He'd have given people new nicknames on your trial.
Rusty Nuts. Get older in midfield, Rusty Nuts.
Yeah, he's not concerned about being too familiar.
Was Varane that way intentionally, or was it just the fact that he was, as you said, this worldwide superstar, really?
Yeah, it's just some players that kind of have that effect on you. Obviously Beckham and people like that were, but I always remember Varane being very intimidating, and his bald head, he'd been at Lazio, he was just a superstar. I remember him chipping me from like my own byline, if you know what I mean. He curled one in. Yeah, and like that'd happen regularly, do you know what I mean? I'd be letting goals in from angles. I don't know why Varane sticks out in my head, but he did. All the main ones, of course, but it was so strange, and I couldn't get to grips with it at all. And I didn't for the first couple of years. I found it really difficult to get, confident and all the rest of it. And I'd prefer playing in the youth team and in reserves, where I was a lot more, familiar with players, and I couldn't get the grips of it. It's just me. I'm not like a really confident person anyway. I'm not like, I have to really get to know people, and especially if I'm around those kind of people. I didn't even know I'd done as well as I did on the trial, but I think my dream idea of going at 22, 23 would have been much better.
Yeah,
I think they took me too early. I think they need.
Just hold on for 5 years, Barry.
Yeah, but you can't say no to that. And off I went, just fully involved. Got told I had to win the Youth Cup in the first year, which was like daunting because it was like the biggest competition ever. And Fergie. Sir Alex Ferguson, he said, right, your first job, come and sign and win me the FA Youth Cup. We've not won it since the sort of Beckham, Gary Neville era. I need a keeper. You're going to win me the FA Youth Cup. So there was your pressure, do you know what I mean, on day one.
Did you win it?
Yeah, we won it.
Was it Kieran Richardson?
Yeah, we strolled it, to be fair. We strolled it. We had such a good side, really good side. Bardsley, Richardson, Paul McShane, Sylvan Blake. Then they've not reached the heights of, like the top Premier League clubs, but they've all made it. It was only both fullbacks that didn't really make it, but Mads Tim, the best young player I've ever seen, Danish lad, he was like God, best player ever, but now, didn't really go on, but he was class. Yeah, but we went and won the FA Youth Cup and had a great first year there. Really good.
Was I think it might have been you that told us. Remember David Jones?
Yep.
The midfielder.
Big ears.
Yeah.
Not the best looking kid.
Was he in that team?
Yeah,
'Cause
he was captain.
Him and Kieran Richardson were
Yeah.
best mates, and it was probably the most unlikely.
Wolves.
Who?
Did he play at Wolves?
He was at Wolves, Dave Jones, yeah.
Yeah.
But him and Kieran Richardson were tight, weren't they? Were they best
Yeah, it was
mate?
a weird one. That I think they lived in Diggs. They lived in Diggs around the corner from me. Yeah, they were mates. I wouldn't say best mates.
It might not have been you, but apparently David Jones used to dress like Kieran Richardson.
Yeah,
in
he
terms
did.
white suit. Turned up in a white suit one day.
I don't know about that, but he used to personalise his trainers. Yeah, it was an R&B era. Even I was wearing like some weird Air Force Ones. Coming back, I was going to Iron Apple with these like hats and things on my wrist. It was a difficult time for me. It was a time that I'm so glad camera phones weren't about, because I looked a state. But I was, I'm from quite a small place back here, and going to Manchester, all these big characters, even like young players. You kind of you try and fit in. You try and fit in with these lads who are all on a few grand a week. And you try and fit in and do your bit to keep up. But I shook myself out of that early 20s. So
I was going to say, because the Man U were renowned for not really paying a lot to young players. Financially for you, without going into too much detail, was it the best option for you?
I never had offers from the other clubs, but I always thought it was good money. But hearing about what the players are on or were on, like people like David Bentley, who was always away with us with England, and I don't think they paid huge money, but it was phenomenal. I mean, yeah. I remember coming back from signing for Man U, right? And me and my dad were in the car, and I said, "Can you stop at the ATM?" And they'd already paid me. I can't remember, it was the end of the month, but they give me a signing on fee. I mean, I'll tell you, it's not like, but they give me 80,000 sign-on fee, and I was 17. This is like 2002. And that wasn't in the bank, but I remember my first month's wages were in. And I won't say how much I was on, but like, my dad knew, and I started talking to my dad about it. And I checked my bank, and there was a few, quite a bit of money that I've never seen before. And I was like, I didn't even think about this side of the game. Didn't even, the deal was done with my mum, my dad, my agent, and Ferguson. Which is class, by the way, because that doesn't happen. The sporting directors do it all now, but he did everything. He wrote down the numbers on a bit of paper. I was just getting a medical in the other rooms and things like that. He said to my mum and dad, who he called by their first name, which was pure class. For my dad to be a Man U fan, my dad's from Manchester, and he'd go, "Hello, Gordon," like, "Hello, Val, you right?" He'd make the coffee. Little things like that, which would blow my dad's mind.
Yeah.
And, we'd get in the car, my mum would be like, "Your dad is a Cheshire cat." It's like, he remembered his name from the first time.
Give your mum a little wink across the table.
Well, he had a bit,
Just slid his number across the table. There you go, Mr. Steele.
There's the contract. And there's my number.
One for you, one for me.
That is a good contract. No, that's my phone number.
So it's on 206197 a week. No, that's my number. That Val.
Can't believe you remember my mum's name. I only told you once. All these little things. He was a genius, absolutely. I could see it straight away. My dad could see it. All these things were great. And then, they negotiated the contract, said, "Look, I think Luke should sign a 4-year deal. Not too long, 4-year deal. This is what I think he should be on." Wrote it down on a bit of paper to my mum and dad. Bear in mind, when I got in the car with my dad on the way back, this time after being paid, he said to me, I said, like, the money, I didn't even think about it. He was like, it's phenomenal, for a 17-year-old brother. He says, I've never been on that money before. And that I couldn't believe it, because it's not like thousands and thousands of what you hear about. But my dad said that to me near Peterborough Services, it was. And I remember just thinking, I felt guilty, really guilty. I was 17, my dad had worked all these years, and I felt really guilty that he said it to me in a really nice way, and he said, "Look, that's your money." And I replied with, "Do you want some? Do you want me to pay you some? Shall I give you this, or shall I give?" And he laughed, and he was like, "Mate, that is your money. Don't you ever give that away. You've deserved it. You've earned it." And I remember thinking, wow, it's not about that. And I just wanted to give him everything there and then, because obviously all the things that he'd done for me and helped me, the hours he put in the garden and taking me here and there and everywhere. And it was just a crazy year, crazy few months.
Did you ever say about, did you ever ask him, obviously Sir Alex has put the contract with the figures. Did he ever say to him, just a little bit more, Sir Alex. You know what I mean? Did he have that conversation, or would it basically just, that's it?
Who, my dad?
Your old man.
No.
Your old man said, come on, you can put another...
Well, your agent was there, wasn't he? Did you say
Yeah, my agent was
the
there.
same one?
Yeah, same shit one.
The same wanker. So your agent was in that bit?
Yeah, but that was all in front of my mum and dad.
Right.
So it was a personal thing. That's how he did business. And that was brilliant because whether it was his way of getting me cheaper or not, but like, you know, he involved my mum and dad. I was too young in his eyes to even hear those conversations. And that's the way he liked it. He didn't want to like go back and forward and, you know, deal with all these people. And I remember my mum and dad saying that he was addressing my mum and dad, not my agent. It was more like, look, this is what I think Lou should be on, blah, blah, blah.
I'm like, fucking him off.
Yeah, of course they came in and told me and said like, are you all right with that and things, you know. It was fun. My dad would never in a million years say no, that's too much, or get involved.
I'm a big fan of yours, Sir Alex. You can knock a couple £100 off that, he'll still sign it. You know what I mean?
Well, he filled his car with signed memorabilia anyway, so he did all right.
How good was he away from the negotiating the contracts and just around you and the other lads, you know, everything you hear about Sir Alex being the best?
Yeah, just the best, mate. He was, you know, obviously I didn't play a lot of first team games, just friendlies, and I was always involved with the first team. I was travelling, but it's the details. I remember like he'd get involved in things like I complained about paying for my digs because I didn't know that I had to pay for my digs, like £450 a month. And one morning I got told that I was only 18. I was to see the manager, go and knock on his door, which is, you know, I'm nowhere near playing in the first team at this point. So I went and knocked on his door and he was like, come in, sit down. He says, I know that you were talking about your paying for your digs. He says, listen, he says, you're 18 now. He says, you've got to learn how to manage your money, manage your life. He says, it's not a lot. And he broke it down money-wise. And he told me it's £450. He said, you'll be able to afford that, fine. And he explained why I should be paying for my digs. And I just thought, yeah, of course. Like, that's Sir Alex Ferguson. That's not... I had loads of other staff at the club. There's people who could have done that, by the tens, but he did it. And I was like, yeah, I do need to pay. And he taught me that in one meeting. He taught me that I need to manage my money. I need to do that. He said, get a car, don't get a flash car. You know? But little things like that was just genius. And he'd already earned the respect by this point. 2002, he'd been in the job, 15 years. Yeah. He'd won everything. He'd already earned that respect. So when they talk about, people always ask me about the hairdryer. He never really give that, apart from one game after an FA Youth Cup game, which he always attended. Came to all the FA Youth Cup games. We'd won one quarter-final, I think it was, and we were celebrating like knobs, jumping up and down. He'd come in and give us a right rollicking. Said it weren't the way to play. We scraped through, we were shit. Went mental. And he just, silenced everyone. But that was his, he was involved. It was his machine. It was all his baby. It was all his... It's like when you start a business now, you don't want to work for someone else. You want to be at the top. And he was managing everything. The detail and everything he was managing.
That'll be unheard of these days.
Oh, completely.
But that's the one thing that you hear about constantly with the best. The finer details. They're there to the, your clubs.
Yeah. Even the bits about meeting Steely's mum and dad and that. You can't imagine flipping these Premier League managers now taking that much of an interest in a youth team player or a reserve team player signing.
But that's why I imagine that's... Obviously, there's loads of other things, but that's why he's so successful, because everybody who plays for him, I imagine, loves him.
Do you call him boss?
The balls for him.
Yeah, he got the best out of everybody. I include the staff, the catering staff, the sports science, everybody, because he'd want to know when he heard about an injury. I in my second year, I got 2 stress fractures in my back and was out for the whole season. And he called the physio's called, or the doctor called my dad, said, look, you needed in Manchester tonight. We had a Champions League game, and before the game, it must have been while the players are out on the pitch. He got at Old Trafford. He's got an office near the first team change room. I've still not been involved in the first team squads. I'm training with them bits and bobs. I'm the first year, going into my second year. He got me and my dad into the room. He sent us for a meal upstairs. Then got us into the room before the game. The doctor was there. Every physio, I think it was like 3 or 4 physios at the time for the first team. They broke it down. Obviously, the gaffer spoke. Told my dad about the injury, told him what he knows that we're going to have to go through, told him I'm not going to play for a year, we want to get it right. the attention to detail was incredible. And you know, he didn't have to do that. The doctor could have done that. Even now that you don't get that, I've never had that again in a manager, but he gave that information. He wanted to look my dad in the eyes to say, look, we're going to look after your son. We're going to do everything right. Obviously, I was in bits. I didn't know at this time. He was the one who broke the news to me. I didn't know at this time how bad it was from the scan. He said, look, about the stress fracture. Then the doctor spoke. But at that point, before a game, like a Champions League game, I can't remember who it was, I felt like the most important person at Old Trafford that day. And in that moment, because he was looking at us properly, he was explaining the situation. And I've never, ever seen that in another manager or another person in any workplace.
This could bring you out in a sweat, but I know you used to be shit scared of Roy Keane.
It's hot in here, isn't it? Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm scared of him now, but I am like, I'd have to say that he's one of the most influential people I've been around ever. And I've met Nelson Mandela actually, so, you know.
Have you?
Yeah, that was another influential person.
Not as scary as Keane, or surely.
Yeah, I'm going to mention that a few times. But yeah, Roy Keane is just like one in a million. And, you know, when I was at United, you don't really know until you're around him in training and things like that. But this actually sticks out in my mind because when I was number 3, there was me, Tim Howard and Van der Sar and Tony Coton, the goalie coach. When we went over to do the games, he said to me one day, he said, have you ever noticed you're always on Roy Keane's side? And I was like, oh, not really. Like, I didn't really. He says, yeah, because the other two are shit scared, so they always choose the other team. Van der Sar, Tim Howard. And it's true. You don't want to be on his side. You'd rather be playing against him because you know you're not going to get a bollocking from him. So that was me getting bollockings all over, like every time I played. But, you know, big grown international Champions League winners were like that.
Fully established goalkeepers, both of them, aren't they?
Yeah, no, like, but he had that effect on people. And I was in the canteen one day, and there was a woman who worked for the kitchens, and he asked the woman. This is just an example to sum him up. I don't know why this sticks out in my head, but he was like, "Oh, have we got any butter?" And she was like, "Oh no, we've just ran out, but I've ordered some today." Well, Roy's response was, "What do you mean you've ran out today? Or you've ordered it today?" She was like, "Well, we've ran out, so don't worry, Roy, I've ordered it." But he proceeded to go off on one, and he couldn't understand why she hadn't anticipated that they're running out of butter a week ago and already ordered it. So then when you run out, it was there. And I'm listening. There was only us 3 in the canteen. I'm listening, and he's going off on one. Like that high pitch. Not swearing at all. But he was like intimidating, those eyes, that high pitched Cork accent, which haunts me now. But I'm telling you, so the poor girl's in tears. She's crying her eyes out. But he couldn't believe that she hadn't anticipated the butter running out.
Was she crying in front of him? Like,
yeah. She was like, and then she'd gone like back around the kitchen, and you know that was just him. He wanted the best of the club, and little things like that. It was very much, you know, that's a tiny situation, but that's how he was. That's how he is. That's the kind of person he is.
Not even the bit around the top of the butter with the toasting, where you can just scrape it off and make do.
You've always got one left in the tank, haven't you?
Put your bread in the butter and wipe it up.
The amount of times I was reading the paper in the morning, because you got like 2 or 3 papers around. I was reading the paper, and Roy Keane would come over, and I just started reading. And he's going, "Oh, you're reading that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, yeah." So and then I'd feel him. I'd feel his presence around me, and I'd read it for about 20 seconds and go, "Yeah, I've finished with that." Shit out stuff like that, and I'm sorry, but that's how it was. And anybody who says that they weren't like that, especially younger lads.
You know I'm reading it, Roy. You can see I'm reading it. I've got it open in front of my eyes. I'm reading it, Roy.
And I'd hang on. I'd be going, "Don't drop it. Read, return a page." Yeah, I'm done with it. And then I'd be like, yeah, because I'd be, oh, thank God, he's not on me.
Another one about him though. I went back to Sunderland probably 2 years ago, and I was speaking to the woman. There's always a woman in the players' lounge that does the drinks, does the food, and all that. And I just said, "Who's been your favourite manager?" He said, "Without a shadow of a doubt, Roy Keane. Every home game." He used to come up, like everyone had gone, and he used to come up and see her and say, "How was it?" And he'd give her a bit of pocket money to go away with. She said, I'll never...
Oh, well, he bought her then, didn't he? No wonder he's his
Would you
favourite manager. He bought her, didn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't have to do that, did he? Not many managers would go out the way and just go and have a bit of chat with the tea lady in the players' lounge. And every week he'd give her some money.
Did you see Roy Keane taking on that personal side?
Maybe, yeah.
From Sir Alex.
That's the only. To be honest, that's the only example that I've seen.
We've got loads of other stories about him making people cry, but it was nice to her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He always had butter in the canteen.
At Forest last year, he came as coach, and he was never comfortable. I don't know what was up, but he was never comfortable there. And one day he came out and said, got all the players in. Martin O'Neill was over the other side, and he was saying to the lads, right, yesterday we did a game and the losers had to do 20 push-ups. He says, like, did everyone do the push-ups? And like everyone was like, yeah. The young goalie was saying to me, Roy's just bollocked me for not doing my press-ups. And I said, oh, sure I did them. And like, he'd got the footage from because training was filmed, he'd got the footage and counted the press-ups. So like he had a list in his hand. So I was thinking, shit, I lost here. But, you know, sometimes you can miscount, sometimes you can whatever. So Steele, 20. I was like, thank God for that. Started reading out players, and he got to the goalie who'd just been nearly crying to me, saying, Keano's just bollocked me. And he was like, Jake, 12. And I was like, flipping hell, mate, you're not even close.
Give yourself a chance.
Yeah, he's got to a player called Pele, and he said, Pele 4... And like he's gone off on one. Do you know what I mean? But to him, he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe the lads hadn't done the press-ups, and he'd got the footage on CCTV, zoomed in, saw everybody do them, count them, got somebody to count them. But that was the kind of like
is that petty?
Intense. Yeah, that's the intense stuff that he was always after. He couldn't believe that people hadn't done them. But
was that his actual name, Pele, or did he just ask for people to call him Pele?
It's just one word, Pele. He didn't quite.
He never played, so it must have been quite smelly. No Pele. See, I couldn't do 20. I can't do 20 press ups. So I'd have got dug out.
4 sets of 5.
Yeah, on my knees though. On my knees. No, I couldn't do 20 press ups ever.
So after your year out, obviously you're playing under 19s reserve football, and then did you get the opportunity then to play first team football at Coventry? Mickey Adams, is it?
Peter Reid. Yeah, it was weird because I had a full year out. Weren't even sure I could go on and keep playing. There was a doctor in Sheffield who said to me, you know, it probably isn't going to fix right, and it's not going to. It's probably not going to do you any favours body wise if you want to go on and, you know, be a professional for lots of years. But I got back from it, which was hard work, hardest work. I was in a body cast from here all the way down. My hips were locked, so I was completely straight up for 3 months. So like I had a clip here that I could loosen, but for 3 months I was completely like that. I used to eat dinner on my knees. I used to do my schoolwork because we were at college, like on and off, but on my knees, wouldn't sit in a chair. And like after I was in all summer. I think Solskjaer was injured at the time as well, and he was in there. What a legend, absolute legend. Yeah, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He made me feel like I was the guy who scored the Champions League winning goal, and he was a youth team player, reserve player. But he spent a lot of time with me in the gym, in and around the place. Wasn't loud or eccentric, but like was just class. You know, another one who was just class. He was pleased to be there, and he was injured. He had bad knee injury, and he got back. You know. Yeah, but that was a tough time coming back from injury. But, you know, with the gaffer and the way he spoke to me, I got back, and out of nowhere, I got a call from Tony Coton, the goalie coach, and said, look, Peter Reid, the manager of Coventry in the Championship, wants you this weekend. This has happened a year earlier than we thought, but you're going to go on loan. So I was like, right, okay. I knew that was the next step, you know, playing first team football if I could. And I was going to go on loan. I went on loan with, I think, Neil Wood and Eddie Johnson, who were both there already. And I was on the bench the first game, and then I got in the team and then played virtually the whole season, which was class because I was 19, 20.
Was the first game against Sunderland by any chance?
No.
I remember Eddie scoring.
His probably was, yeah. But they lost their place, but I managed to stay in for, I think it was 36 games, barring a few injuries. Had a really good time, loved it. Peter Reid was absolutely class with me. He knew, obviously, a young goalkeeper coming in, the mistakes I'd make, let me get on with it and encourage me. And it was one of it was the turning point for me where I thought, flipping heck, like I can play, because I didn't think I could play first team football.
Yeah.
I really I weren't confident, John. I wasn't confident, and we won the Youth Cup. But there was something in me was just like, well, I can't get in a team and play every week. I just didn't have that belief. I knew I was talented, but I didn't think I'd, get in a first team and start playing, especially at like late teens, early 20s. I thought it would be a lot longer. But went there, and just realised, I can do it. And that's how I've done everything in my career. I've had to show myself that I can do it. I've not gone, I can do that. That bollocks when people say, just be confident, just to believe you can do it. Yeah. I never believed I could do it. And then I did it and then realised I could do it. That's the way I've always worked.
And then Michael Dewberry said that I'm the best defender at this club. I'm the best defender at this club. Believed it. As a young lad getting into the Chelsea squad, I'm the best there is here. And I play up to it.
That's rare. The common one is what you think
you're going to achieve it.
You've
first.
got that doubt of am I good enough? Am I going to make that step up? Yeah. And it takes something to happen, like you going to Coventry and playing, that you think, fuck me, I can do it.
Was that a baptism of fire then, going from obviously the superstars, and I imagine getting your ass wiped at Man U, and you're in a proper man's dressing room then at Coventry. Not that the superstars aren't proper men, but there's different levels, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's times when lads have turned up pissed at Coventry. They've had a night out. They've had an all-day Sunday. I can't imagine Giggs coming in twatted on a Monday morning.
None of that. Yeah, none of that. Yeah, it was, but it was easier for me, John, because I was like fitting into that. I felt like I was a bit more comfortable. I made friends, and I didn't have this ego of I'm coming from Man U, which I think because I'd been at Peterborough so long, I didn't have that ego. I didn't go in with confidence. I went in with like flipping out. Like, I hope I can get a few games here. Then when I played, I was like, oh, surprised. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was good. There was Steve Staunton in that team, who was class. He took me for a pint of Guinness for the first time ever. I was 19 or 20. Hated it.
Just you and him?
Me, him, and Michael Doyle, another Irish lad. And I became friends with Doyle, but Steve Staunton was kind of, looked after him as well. But Steve Staunton was a good guy.
He was horrible though, Doyle. To play as an opponent.
Yeah, horrible. Michael Doyle was one of the most intense, horrible, nasty players that you've ever seen.
He would one of them would tackle his grandma, wouldn't he?
Talking about dark arts.
Yeah.
He had the full shebang. If you tackled him and you went down, he'd offer to help you up, but nip you under your armpit, trying to get a bite off you.
Where was this at?
I can't remember. Obviously, he was at Coventry. I can't remember. To be honest, I don't think it was to me. I think it was to somebody else.
Yeah. But he got in. I'm sure I'm allowed to say this now. But he got into trouble because obviously he wound players up, and he was a good guy, really good guy. He was my best friend at the club for that year, and I understood him. I used to understand his anger, which he had a lot of. But he got a whack. I was training one day, and everyone asked in football, what's the biggest fight you've seen or incidents like that? You have scruffs, but not like manly fights. It's pretty handbaggish.
Yeah, everybody pulled off.
Yeah. But on this particular time, I think it was my second loan there, which was a year later. But Robert Page and him had a bit of a thing. They were out on the training ground. Can't remember how it started. It was like a bit, Doyle winding him up, kicking him or saying something. That's the way he played, and Pagey absolutely whacked him square in the mouth. He was all over the place. He couldn't even really get up and fight. Everyone had kind of pulled Pagey off, but it was an absolute Manwhack. Pagey's got man wrists.
Big old unit as well, weren't he?
Yeah, solid, but he had man strength, someone like Alan Shearer, hairy arms and
like a hod carrier.
Yeah, that's it, a hard bricklayer. But
so was it in training and say a bad tackle and he's laid him out as a reaction?
Yeah, it was kind of a mouthy thing. I think training has just finished and it was a build-up, and then all of a sudden it was like, you do that again, or you say that again, and then bam, they hit him, and Doyley's mouth was all over the place. Everything was going on, and Doyley was completely concussed. Pagey had a ripped arm from his teeth all in up his arm. So he was in one physio room.
In his arm?
Yeah.
Up his arm?
Yeah, he's probably got a bad scar from it now. I've not seen Page in years, but he had a big scar up here. Physios and that, he was all right. He was calmed down, blah, blah, blah. Doyley was completely concussed, talking crap about whatever. lost it. But then Doyley's teeth weren't there, so
pulling
Mickey
him out of his
Adams.
ass.
Mickey Adams.
You ain't got Paige's number, have you? You couldn't knock mine out for me. I can start again.
I just remember Mickey Adams calling the youth team in as forensics, and they're on their hands and knees on the training pitch in lines, like in exact lines, and they had to stay out there until they found all his teeth.
Jesus!
So it was a
In
mess.
hazmats.
It was a
That
mess.
word a manwhack.
Yeah, it was a mess. And Doyle got these beautiful new veneers after that. But
paid for them?
some of his teeth I think got lost, but there was loads of them. The youth team on their hands and knees picking them up for ages.
Did Paige foot the bill for the teeth, or
I can't remember. I don't know. I don't think anyone was allowed to talk about it. It was one of them.
till
like,
now?
Yeah.
The two teeth that were missing were just on a necklace around his neck.
Crocodile Dundee, yes.
What were they like after? Did they make up and that? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I think they made up, but Doyle weren't everybody's best mate. But I was like, Jesus, welcome to real football.
It's mad though, isn't it? Because a fight normally brings people together after.
Yeah. No, I think
People
it did.
get
I
closer.
don't think there was any bad blood, but people ask me what the worst fight is. I always think of that one because it was so brutal. Even Paige's arm was like a mess.
I'm trying to work out the technique, how you
I
can
know,
rip
I'm thinking that his full fist's gone in his mouth.
Yeah.
For him to get a cut down.
like down the back of his throat.
I don't know, but it was madness. But no, it was a great year. Good year. We actually, it was the last game at Highfield Road. It was the last season at Highfield Road. That's how I get lucky sometimes, and I've always said I'm really lucky in football. But like that year was the last year in a football stadium. I don't know if any of you guys have ever done that, but the pressure is on when you're playing in the last year of a stadium that's been there for 100 years. The last game was against Derby. Luckily, we'd already secured the championship status, but the last game at Highfield Road against Derby, full house. Obviously, it's going to be torn down a few days after, and we managed to. We were 4-0 up at half time against Derby. But it's brilliant experience.
We haven't actually got that good fact. We've only got how many goals you conceded in the amount of time you were there. So it's pretty basic research.
We're not bothered about the monumental thing of playing the last game at Highfield Road.
Yeah. Well, I knew he'd bring up that, so I was trying to divert everyone. How many goals they let up anyway? So,
And I'm not even lying. Coventry City, season loan, conceded 30 goals in 18 appearances in 3 months in capital letters. So I think he means that's a lot in a short space of time.
1 point to make a game, but what?
Agreed to extend loan until the end of the season. Finish the season with 62 goals conceded in 36 matches. But move on to West Brom. That was it.
Solid effort, yeah.
I tell you what,
Harsh.
you'd have been all right for the coupon, wouldn't you? Of a 2.5 goal, but still is at Coventry.
I never once said I played well in that loan spell. I just said it was a good experience.
You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
With Trevor Benjamin there.
Yeah, he was there for a little bit. Had some good players, but Tim Sherwood was still there.
Yeah.
That's how old I am. But he was like captain, vice captain and stuff. He introduced me to poker actually. Yeah.
Are you a bit of a...
Well, I think he was
Shark?
organising it on the bus, yeah. But he, obviously he was a Premier League winner, 92, 93 or 94. But that's what I mean. These players were at the end of their career. I was at the beginning trying to learn off them. But
What was he like, Sherwood?
Sherwood, yeah, good guy, really good guy. Exactly how you see him on telly, I find. When I see him talking when he was manager of Tottenham.
I always think he's a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I like that kind of. I like that sort of person. I always have. That's why we've been such good friends.
Teed myself up for that one, yeah.
So you returned to United after the loan spell, innit?
Yeah. I returned about 4 inches taller with confidence. And that was it. I trained at the end of the season because I think they were in the FA Cup or something. And I remember thinking, right, here we go.
I'm a different man.
Yeah.
Do you think you was ready to push?
Well, yeah, I was ready to push and see wherever I was going to get to, I was going to get to. Whether it was going to be to get a game or get in the team and things like that. But I was ready. And then they said to me, that I think in the summer you're going to be number 3 because I think a few goalkeepers departed. So it was then Edwin van der Sar, Tim Howard and then me. So straight up number 3. It was nice and clear and I was like, right, here we go. And I went on the pre-season tour straight away, including the first team. And then all of a sudden I felt like a first team player. I was like, my squad number was double figures rather than triple. I felt like a first team player. I was calling.
You didn't go for number 62, did you? For the amount of goals you conceded at Coventry. Put me at 62, Sir Alex.
Yeah. Where did you go on the tour?
I think we went to South Africa that year. South Africa. Absolutely
good trip.
Mind-blowing, yeah. Mind-blowing trip. I got off the plane, right, in South Africa, Johannesburg, and it was packed with fans, thousands of fans. I went to Asia as well, but that was very much the same. But I got off and I was walking through the terminal with, they always took Sir Bobby Charlton with them. So I remember walking with him and he was talking to me like, I was just this, I'm part of it now. And he was like, do you like pre-season? I never liked running. He was telling me about his pre-seasons, World Cup winner, and he was going into detail, and I was just taking it all in now. I'd got a bit more confidence. I was asking him questions. He hated running. He was telling me he hated running, just straight up says, I never liked running. Always tried to get out of it. Whereas you always think these guys are perfect. They were just humans talking to us on the level. We'd walk past all the press because they'd all be giving the top players the attention.
So imagine the hysteria as well, because you see it when, Man United, biggest club in the world, going on these, like you said, the Asia tours and South Africa, the crowds and everything, just to getting off the plane. Imagine just taking all that in as a young lad.
Had you got Quinton Fortune at this point?
Yes, Quinton Fortune. Fantastic guy again. Obviously, he's South African.
Yeah, that's right. That's where he must have been a legend, wasn't he?
Yeah, they loved him. But when you go away with United in Asia as well, but in South Africa, you'd do a day's morning training, then you'd go and do charity work. So you'd go and visit a school, you'd go and visit a place for this problem, that problem. And so I was like, going to you're in Group C, you're with the gaffer, Giggs, Solskjaer, just one project that I remember. And we were going to help these kids who have been abused or, they've had bereavements, lost all their families and things like that. And I was doing all these things that were just once in a lifetime opportunities with the people who I looked up to most in the whole world. These things like speaking to kids and they're loving anything. You're giving them a sock or a bandage, anything. They wanted anything to do with the club. So then
you must have felt like that superstar then.
Not really, because I could always see that when the journalists and everyone was there that they wanted the big players and things like that. So I was kind of a step back and I was fine with that. I was fine with just watching and just seeing, but it was phenomenal. I mean, especially when Beckham was at the club, because it was like a circus. I travelled to Turin when I was 18 because Barthez got ill on the Thursday, and again, in the gaffer, I know we're going back a little bit, but he called me in the office and said, Steely, you're going to travel with the first team tomorrow to Turin. We've got Juventus. Barthez is not feeling well. You might be on the bench. So I was, I did the warm up the night before. It was in the old stadium, Del Piero and all the rest of it. And I was 17, 18. Again, I hadn't even been at Coventry at this point, but I was training on the pitch, and then Barthez ended up playing. But I was involved in all those sort of things, which it happened so quickly. But in South Africa, I could see that how it all worked. I could see the whole club, the image that they were trying to do, the good work that they were trying to do, the class of the players, the best players that I've seen. They just ooze class. They give a lot of attention. They speak properly to journalists, but they also do when they're speaking to a kid who's 7, who's been abused or something like that. This is just a personal experience. I remember seeing that, they gave the attention, they gave themselves to that person, and it was just gripping the whole time. And we went on safari, things like that, seeing these animals, and they organised everything. So it wasn't just train, sleep and rest like it is a lot of the tours. It was like doing all these amazing things.
I was going to say, what a contrast to normal. Get guests on talking about pre-season tours, or like who sneaked out. Did you get any nights out? You know what I mean?
How many lots of gear did you take?
But we had a bit of a night out that one. That was an interesting one, because I remember Scholes. I'd kind of played a bit of roulette, but we went to this casino, and I remember Paul Scholes, Neville, Giggs and that. Everybody was he had a few quid, and people getting a bit carried away gambling. I remember they were on a table, so I was watching them for a little bit, and they were gambling 10p chips. And they were at the end of it, they were $15 up, or 15 whatever the currency is. But they weren't gambling big money. And they were what's the point? another 5-10 grand or 5-10 quid loss. Like, just don't do it. Like they weren't like dickheads, like just trying to win like a load of money.
Like Killer.
Things like that. Yeah, and they had a drink. They had a drink. That's what it was classed about. They had a drink. They weren't just robots. They weren't like, I know I'm saying about them being so intense, but when we had a drink, when we had a Christmas do, we had a Christmas do. But it wasn't like all these flash places. Never got on a plane. Never got on. Never like spent loads of money. In fact, Gary Neville picked the whole tab up the first year I was there. I remember hearing it was 27 grand. But like, we stayed in Manchester. We went to a normal pub. There was a guy with a guitar. And we had a lot of karaoke, but you could sing. And we were just getting smashed.
It's a private party.
Yeah, private party. But they let the locals in.
Yeah.
So this was the era when they knew the locals. It was like the Queen's Head or something in Manchester. But they let the locals in. They'd have security on the door, but they wouldn't make a big thing of it. And it was classy. You got like Gary Neville would play a bit on the guitar. Alan Smith would sing. But anyone who could sing. But we'd all join in. And it was totally different to all the other Christmas
a bit like a lower league Christmas do.
Yeah, but it was all we needed.
Yeah.
Okay, we went paintballing and Rooney set off smoke bombs in Carrington and all that sort of stuff. But like, it was more down to earth. It was more my... Anyway, that year, then I became number 3. So it was us 3.
Because I think that's even different to what it is now, though, isn't it? Like Lonna's told us about his Christmas do, and it's fucking shite.
Yeah, they wouldn't get that now.
Basically, just all the lads in a room. I couldn't think of anything worse, me. Just all the lads in one room. I think they had it in London or something, didn't they?
Yeah, there's a nightclub in London. Can't remember the name of it.
But they're just like, it was shite, wasn't it? You might as well have it in changing rooms.
Yeah.
No, we Ghetto Blaster on.
We had a party that year. You're triggering things in my head now, but we had that night after the pub, we went to another place and went to the top of living room where we had a private party.
We'd let you have a 2 days at it, would it, Sir Alex?
No, it was a one night thing.
Oh.
All in one night. And there was characters flying up all over the place, like Corrie people and EastEnders, there was no photographs and things like that. It was all taken out of it. But again, like if we're talking about scraps, I remember, is it Dev off Coronation Street? Yeah, him and Roy Carroll going at it.
You don't pay for his papers, lad.
Which is the 2 most random characters. So I was like steaming, like, trying to like get the girls and things like that. And I'm just looking and thinking, Roy Carroll's having a fight with Dev. And then you blink and you miss something. But
I wonder what went on. I wonder why they've come to exchanging blows.
He was a bit of a character though, weren't he, Roy?
Yeah. He liked to drink and all the rest of it. Really good guy.
Probably the way he treated Deirdre, wasn't it? He probably weren't happy about it.
Yeah.
Out of order.
Dave and Deirdre?
I think they had a bit of a thing, didn't they?
Well, then, have an affair.
She's a mucky cow, that Deirdre. She's a mucky cow. She's not even gone off street. She's only gone 6 doors down.
Didn't you meet Nelson Mandela in South Africa, I heard?
Yes, I did. Actually. Another real surreal moment of, today we're training and then we're going to go and see Nelson Mandela at his house, which was like, he's got a house, but then a museum. So we're like in a museum place. And I knew a little bit about history and, everyone knew the name Nelson Mandela. And it was like a private viewing, but Lillian Thuram was there randomly. The French guy.
kid?
Yeah, because obviously it was like an invite-only thing. There was real famous, like, some prince of, like, Iran was there as well that day.
Was Dev there?
I won't bother about it.
Dev was having a fight with Nelson.
Devin's got a band.
He's in the corner. He's in the corner trying to woo fucking Winnie. Sleazy bastard, Des. He's fucked Deirdre off.
Dev had been banned. Nelson never liked him. And then, like, I'm in the audience, or not in the audience, in this one room, and then Sir Alex Ferguson, the gaffer, comes to the front and starts speaking. Says, look, in about 10 minutes' time, you're going to meet someone. And he started telling us the history of it. He says, a lot of you won't realise what you're doing today until many years to come, which was probably me as well to an extent, but there was some real dense players in
Rooney. Nelson,
he thought it was Pele. but
sorry, Wayne.
he introduced him. I tell you what, I've never heard Alex Ferguson be nervous or talk differently, but he spoke very differently, very humble that day, and he kind of not introduced him, but like built it up and said, look, this is a guy, and you know, you won't realise till many years after. And then we waited for about 40 minutes, and then all of a sudden, like, he just peered around the corner with his helper, and he was walking really slow. It was his 88th birthday, I think it was, because we got a Man U 88 on the back, which is a bit cheap and nasty, but
Come on, Nelson, you're better than that.
So then he started talking, and he apologised for being late, and you know, for the next I can't remember how long it was, 10-15 minutes, he spoke to us, and he was so proud to meet us. And
is he a big football fan, Nelson?
Well, I think they'd met him in '92 when they'd gone to South Africa, but I think because of like he's into his rugby and his football. And South Africa have won the World Cup. When he came out of prison, he actually, I think it was in '92, he presented the trophy.
Yeah, I can remember that.
When they won. But
he had a New Zealand rugby shirt on that day, didn't he?
Yeah.
You don't have jump on the bandwagon, Nelson, does he?
Doesn't mess about.
Yeah,
I think if he came on here to wear under the Cosh jumper.
The thing is, when this is all going on, I'm tactically thinking, if there's a photograph, I want to be
next to Nelson.
Just in the central, because they're going to get people on the end aren't going to get a look in, are they?
Yeah. So
I'm going to place myself in a good spot.
Yeah, that's
me personally, anyway.
That sums me up, because I'm actually on the end. Because my mum and dad have got that picture just next to my brother's graduation picture at home, and I'm on the end. But I'm more close to Giggsy, so I'm like happy, because Giggsy's my hero. So Giggsy and Solskjaer, but then Nelson's in the middle. Phil Bardsley is like hugging him like that. He's like a proper selfie like that, and on the chair, Danny Simpson, people like that. But I'm just modestly I think I'm on the floor actually. But yeah, you know,
I'm moving people out of the way and just getting.
So Alex, come on, big, and you met him before. Shit, but I mean, obviously that, like, do you know when obviously these tours that they go on, pre-season tours, are like 3 weeks, aren't they?
Yeah, long time.
See, pre-season trips, all I used to do was eat. Do you know, on the buffets and that? So if I'm going away for 3 weeks on a Man United, I'm putting a stone on. Do you know what I mean? It could be tough for me, that.
Yeah.
Because all they do is eat, innit? You know, when you go to a buffet, all you do is just load it on and load it on.
In 45 seconds, we've gone from talking about Nelson Mandela to your dietary requirements.
I was thinking about it earlier before Nelson came up, and Dev.
John, you don't have to do that, you know that.
I know, but you can't help it, can you? You're always hungry. You're always hungry, and you eat it because you're bored.
Well, you've obviously worked hard. So you deserve that. You deserve that food.
But you know, like going seeing the kids and everything, did you really get the benefits out of that? You know, because I imagine some lads would be like, oh.
Oh, what's that? Is there anybody like, spit the ball late this afternoon? I don't have to mention names, but there must have been a few like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Have an hour bike pool.
I've seen fucking I've seen 3 schools this
Have an hour
week.
bike pool.
I let you do me back.
Yeah.
Get on me front.
For me, it was just like, that was my education. Like at school, I didn't really enjoy it, but you know, that was my education. I was going to shanty towns in South Africa, you know, speaking to real life cases, seeing guns and, you know, all the stuff that goes with it, kids running around naked like near a 5-star hotel. I've learned everything from my experiences through football rather than school. And I don't know if no one would have hated it, but there was always so much to do. It was always like, flipping out, look at that, wow, like,
yeah,
you know, it was the best education.
You really got the benefits out of it.
Yeah, and we were training, obviously in the morning we're training and playing in the game and all the rest of it. I got to play in obviously some first team games, even out there. But Ben Foster, I think, had just come, the 2006 one, and he was kind of killing it for me because he was quite good.
You needed Ben to be shit.
Yeah, that was the start of the exit.
Were you disappointed when there were talk of maybe you moving on?
We missed Ronaldo out here, mate. We missed Ronaldo out and really.
You can bring it up anytime you want, mate.
I'll sum it up, Ronaldo, if you want. In about
Wanker.
20 seconds. Hair gel. Practice like mad. Like as everyone knows. Set off loads of car alarms. Practicing free kicks against me. Louis Saha taught him the free kick. I know that. Yeah. And I was always the goalie for like practice, which was class because I'd stay out as long as they wanted. But and also I nicked a bird off him.
Oh, nah then.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
which I didn't even remember.
Fuck the free kick off. We're not bothered about that.
It was on that Christmas do, actually, upstairs in living room in Manchester, yeah.
He was ugly back then, though.
Yeah, he wasn't his
it's a bit
best,
harsh.
but he's playing in the first team, and so give me some credit. I'd won the Youth Cup, but he'd been bought for 13 million. So it was head-to-head as well. Luckily, the girl didn't know too much about football, so...
How do you think she looks back now?
Don't know. Well, she probably feels like she's missed out, but she probably twists the story and says that she got with him, blah blah blah. But
So
I'm
what was
telling
it-
you,
what was
as
the
a
crack
fact,
That's like winning the lottery, and losing the ticket, innit?
Yeah.
In hindsight. No offence.
yeah.
So did you both put a bid in with her, and she's picked the prime cut, the butcher's choice?
Yes and no, because to be honest, I remember her going between the two during the night, and she specifically asked me, who's that Cristiano? Blah, blah, blah. And I just said, he's one of the Resi players. But I remember after getting with her, I actually went out with her for a few months, like properly after that. But that night, blah, blah, blah. And then I remember her then really emphasising on the fact that he wasn't a reserve player and he was, the main man. But
Then it was time to go.
it's too late, Cristiano, mate.
And you've been married 15 years.
I nicked a bird off Cristiano.
It's a good claim to fame, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now,
Oh, not half. Not
I
half.
never knew that.
Proudest moment in your career?
It's up there, yeah. Ferguson didn't tell me exactly apart from winning the Youth Cup, but in that 4 years, that was in the top 5, yeah. It gets better as he gets a better player and wins more World Player of the Years. That story gets better in my head because I feel like I've achieved more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I feel like I'm a better person now.
I can't believe that you told us about Nelson Mandela before that bit. That's surely got to be more.
I forgot. I didn't do any prep work for this or research.
How good was Rooney when he come in?
Who?
Wayne Rooney.
Oh, Wayne Rooney. Yeah, he was mental. He was like I played with him at under-19s for England. Don't know if Chris was there, but he'd just come off the back of the Arsenal goal, and then after that he joined I think a year after me, but he was class. He was just, when I spoke about my confidence not being there, I wasn't like, I don't care who he is. He was total opposite, and he was a couple of years younger than me. He was slide tackling his first day. He was just like getting involved and taking the piss. He was already there, and like I was jealous of that because I wish I had that sort of cheekiness about me, but I didn't. And he'd even like setting the smoke bomb off on the paintballing trip and things like that back at the training ground. He was just Jack the lad. And
What happened with the smoke bomb?
Just a quick one. Just the old. We've been paintball in the first team. Obviously, they included me in that. So I think it was the day of the Christmas do. So we went paintball and then went out. And some of the the smoke bombs that you chalk together, they'd got everything. So this is the thing at United. When you go in somewhere, it's no expense spared. So you don't have to take any money. That was all paid for. And it wasn't like we'll have this package, we'll have it till it runs out. And that was cool. And that's a massive come down when you leave. But a few of the lads had taken them back to the Carrington where we were all getting changed. And all the next thing you know, the whole place is yellow with smoke. And obviously Rooney's let a few off everywhere, and the fire alarm's going off. So that was standard. But
Did you come to La Manga when we were in that?
Yeah.
And this is my first memory of him. I remember we were going up an escalator and I was next to him, Schumacher. Stephen Schumacher, he's just nudged us. And he's pointed to Rooney's, he had a tracksuit on. It was just pitted with dandruff. He's like, fucking scruff. Both Scousers, he's a fucking scruff. So I hope he's improved his hair care. Anyway,
What's on that, has he?
I just had to say it.
He's got a new head of hair, so
Yeah.
different breed.
I
Just
don't
class.
think you can get that dandruff with a weave, can you? Can you still get it? I don't know.
He's probably got the weave dandruff.
Do horses suffer from dandruff? I don't know.
If there's one man that could get dandruff from a weave, it's Wayne.
Yeah.
Horses.
Is what horse hair in?
I think he's got real stuff, hasn't he?
What is it?
Short back and sea biscuit.